Last week on Money Fish.
So we're finally done with all our crazy tournaments for the year, and going to Venice for a writers event is a great opportunity for us. Of course, we're going out with the man, the myth, the legend, Kevin Beach. There it is, tick, tick, tick on the live bait, and Kevin looks and like, there, we got a fish, boys. He came up pinwheeling, and we worked him, and we put that fish in the boat. And sure enough, here he comes, the man, the blue suit. It was perfect, and perfection in this industry and perfection offshore is something that's hard to come by.
Catcher, rock and hook gear, ain't no one better. Lake to salt water, pond to big river. When I bait the hook, I always deliver. Only one thing always on my list. Wake up and hunt that money fish. Put your boat in, call your friends. It's about that time to go fishing again. We on the hunt for that money fish. When we set that hook, we don't ever miss. One day this game is gonna make us rich, y'all. Climb on board, let's hunt that money fish. Topwater terror, bait caster bandit, deep sea demon, the fish can't stand it. Know that I'm coming, saltwater chumming, largemouth legend, show up and catch him. There's only one thing always on my list. Wake up and hunt that money fish. Put your boat in, call your friends. It's about that time to go fishing again. Oh, I'm about to get him right here. Gonna take that thing. It's that money fish. We on the hunt for that money fish. When we set that hook, we don't ever miss. One day this game is gonna make us rich, y'all. Climb on board, let's hunt that money fish. Money fish.
So here we go again. We're gonna go back up to PEI, Prince Edward's Island, Canada, to go chase the giant bluefin. Really excited about this one. It's gonna be myself, Casey Scott, our artist, and Brandon Polnick, one of our professional pro staff hook athletes on the bass fishing side. So we get to PEI and meet up with the Bruce brothers.
The bluefin tuna fishery takes place in Atlantic Canada. Atlantic Canada is in the northeast corner of North America. Prince Edward Island is where all the action takes place on the Gulf of St. Lawrence side and the Northumberland Strait side. PEI is very small. Our population is approximately 145,000. So, that's just a small suburb for some cities.
Giant bluefin tuna have been in our waters here for years. Referred to, decades ago as horse mackerel, they were a pain. They were a nuisance fish that bothered the longliners that were handlining cod or haddock and hake.
Brandon's never been there, Casey's never been there. Bruce Brothers run a first-class operation, and we know we're gonna catch fish.
So Drew gave me a call about 2 days before we left and said, hey, Casey, it's time. We're gonna go up to PEI up in Canada and we're gonna catch giant bluefin tunas. And that's obviously a bucket list of any angler, and you have this expectation of these giant fish and cold weather and big seas and lobster boats and all this stuff. And you kind of manifest this situation in your head.
So I don't really know what to expect. The only thing I know is that these creatures are big, they're fast, they're mean, and they don't give up very easy. I've seen Skeet battle these. I saw Ben Werner battle these. Both those dudes weigh like 100 pounds more than I do. And I saw them struggle. So I'm thinking in my head, this may be a life or death situation.
And this year we have a kill tag, which is a harvest tag for a bluefin tuna. And these tags are incredibly well controlled to make sure that the research is done and the population of fish taken out of the ocean for the bluefin species is regulated the right way.
When I got up here, I found out that we were going to have the opportunity to kill bluefin tuna, which is super rare. You have to apply for a tag. It's hard to get the tags. Luckily, we knew the right people and pulled the right strings and got a tag. And it came up that I was going to be the one to catch the fish that we were going to kill. The whole process is they set these 80 wides. We were using 80 wides because we wanted more sport. Normally it's a 130 out of a chair, but because we're crazy, we decided we were going to take 80 wides, smaller tackle, and fight them out of stand-up harnesses, which is like doing a wall sit for an hour.
There's no way that you're fighting a 1,000-pound tuna and you're not hurting.
So I put on a couple of pounds for this trip, knowing what these fish can do. Last year I went in there at a $160, soaking wet, and hooked up to an 800-pounder, and that fish almost pulled me over and stand up here.
There's a point when you're fighting one of these tuna, you can't do anything. Like, you're just hanging on, waiting for him to slip up a little bit so you can gain some ground.
And then fighting a fish, strength of a fish, power of a fish, the game behind landing the fish to a whole new level. Nothing describes the feeling and the sight of that fish the first time.
Your choice of fishing apparel can make or break your day out on the water. Added mesh vents for superior breathability. Moisture transport cooling technology to keep you dry and comfortable. And antimicrobial to keep you from smelling like your catch. With added SPF to keep you protected. We've added stain release to keep the blood or any other stains at bay. Our most technologically advanced fishing shirt for all the necessary dirty work.
Fish on! Come on, get together.
Hey! Good job.
Yeah, right.
The Nomad system is engineered to help you get back to the basics. Integrated assembly. Silver Z scent suppression system. Industry-leading scent reduction technology. Each piece is modular, but can stand on its own. Expanding gussets in the outer shell give you freedom of movement in the early season, but allows you to expand the foul weather system in winter. Nomad provides technical clothing built by hunters for hunters.
Well, we just got out here. My first tuna trip experience ever, so I'm pretty green and new to this world. Lots of time in freshwater, zero time in saltwater. So right now, all I know is we're looking for bait. We're gonna catch some mackerel, and then we're gonna use those to catch some giant tuna. So right now it's all about finding the bait, and once we get on those, then we'll be able to go to work.
So we get up there on our first day out on the boat. Again, we're like kids in a candy shop. Brandon's gonna be on the reel first. And looking at Brandon, he was about my size the last time, and I was going, this one's gonna hurt because you use all that body weight and everything you have to sit down in that harness and keep that fish locked in.
There was a lot of whales around that day, and there was a few boats actually hooking fish with live baits and dead baits, and with the whale activity around, we decided to try live bait. So we stuck out a live mackerel on a bobber, as I call it, a trachety. Locals here call it a trachety or a Yui. It's just a bobber holding a live bait at a certain level underneath the surface.
They start letting that bait out, and it's just kind of slow. Everyone's just kind of quiet, waiting, because everyone knows what's going to happen. You can feel it in the air. Everyone's a little bit tense, just waiting for that moment.
And that first fish ate, and we're like, let's go, buddy, it's your turn. So we clip him in and get him going. I think it's his first time on a fish that size.
As soon as you hear that line tighten up, and those guys start screaming at you, I mean, it's just organized chaos.
Watching somebody for their first time on a 700-pound fish in stand-up gear and being a bluefin tuna is incredible. I mean, seeing the smile on his face and the pain and agony that he was in, it's spectacular.
Well, we're hooked up. Old Bruce Brothers got us on him. and I don't know what I'm gonna do now, sit and wait, because I don't know how big it is, but all $1.50 of me, it's probably about 1/10 of what this tuna is, so.
I'm just trying to stay good. That's gonna be
Yeah.
Blair said, we're tight, there's something on here, but it never ran like a tuna. It was, I think because it was so big, the fish didn't even realize he was hooked because we had no drag on the reel. And you have to realize when we're using the circle hooks, there's a method to a circle hook, and that is to let them eat the bait.
Gosh, dang.
By saying that, I mean we want the circle hook to be swallowed, and as the fish runs away from the boat and the line's running up the side of his gill plate, the hook will actually slide back up, and as the line's coming out the side of the gill, out of his mouth along the gill plate, it'll hook in the hinge.
That's impressive.
His buddies were around him cheering him on, also giving him a hard time, but he fought that fish perfectly. And for the first time, seeing that fish come up, it's incredible. You know, being a year since I've seen one, it was, you know, there comes that rush again and that excitement.
It's going great so far. My legs are burning. My arm's starting to burn a little bit. He hasn't really been too crazy yet, but it's coming. It's coming. I knew I should have listened to Drew and ate those extra burritos.
You can't even explain what your body goes through. It was like the biggest jolt and shot of adrenaline I've ever had in my life. You hook up and instantly you go into survival mode, because if you get pulled over to the side of that boat, you're done. I mean, you're strapped to this rod and reel, and at one point the captain comes over and he gives me a little knife and slides it inside the belt and looks at me and says, just in case.
Well, I think the Prodigy's been at it here now about 30 minutes, I would say, 25, 30 minutes. Just put a little more drag on the fish. It's up here close, but it's not giving up, so we'll see who wins the fight. I think the thighs are burning, and there's a lot of grunting and groaning going on, but the fish is straight up and down, so I think we're getting somewhere.
This is performance, from the first fish to the last.
We torture our lights so you can rely on them in the real world. Rigid Industries has created the world's toughest LED lights, now available for your boat. Start seeing the difference. Rigid Industries.
The Nomad system is engineered to help you get back to the basics. Integrated assembly. Silver Z scent suppression system. Industry-leading scent reduction technology. Each piece is modular, but can stand on its own. Expanding gussets in the outer shell give you freedom of movement in the early season, but allows you to expand the foul weather system in winter. Nomad provides technical clothing built by hunters for hunters.
Yeah, this is when it gets serious.
Yeah.
The first time that fish comes up, I was speechless. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to explain. And so you kind of have like this feeling of relief, right? They get the fish on the hooks, they cut the line so that you're released. That moment is kind of when like all of that energy just drains out of you, right? I mean, it's like your mission is done, complete, and that's when you really get to fully enjoy that moment.
That was pretty incredible. By far the biggest fish I've ever caught in my entire life. Not a giant for here, but considering I'm a $150 and he's probably around 700 pounds, that was pretty awesome. My legs are burning, my arms are burning. I've been waiting to do this for a long time, so to be able to come up here and do it within the first couple hours with the Bruce brothers is pretty awesome.
So I was next up on the list, and Jamie is running around crazy, feeding baits down, liveys, dead baits, just trying every option.
Took a living, yeah? Yeah, that's right. You ready, Drew? You ready?
And there in the afternoon, we had a pickup, and this fish starts taking off, and 3 or 4 minutes into it was kind of doing some weird things, and we see a whole group of pilot whales come up with the line going right through it, and we're like, not again. This is just like the blue marlin from Ocean City. We hooked a dang pilot whale. Well, after 30 more minutes of fighting the fish, we realized this is not a pilot whale. And now I'm starting to struggle. I mean, this is a little different than last year. This fish is quite a bit stronger and really putting the hurt on me.
It was a big, heavy fish. And we saw the glow for the very first time, and my eyes lit up, Drew's eyes lit up, everybody's eyes lit up. We know it was a big fish because we saw the tail. He spent a lot of time on the surface, but then he went deep and things started to hurt.
Working on the manpower situation right now.
Well, an hour and a half later, we're still fighting this fish, and I was like, holy cow, I'm starting to die. But I will, no matter what, will not give up on this fish. I mean, once in a lifetime fish, we're gonna fight it. This fish came up and he was 115 inches long, if I remember correctly, and Jamie looked at me and goes, boys, that's a grander. That's a 1,000-pound fish with his girth and length all day long. And I looked at him and was just, that's my first grander ever, and that's an experience that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
And when I see a 115 fat fish with big shoulders, I know it's a grander. When it's 120 and it's skinny in early August, it's a grander then. So 115 now, in mid-October is definitely a grander, no question.
You go from getting the fish up and the 2 seconds to go, wow, what a specimen, and then everything changes. Now the rest of the plan is all about reviving that fish and getting him swimming and getting him back healthy.
With the catch and release fishery, we do a few quick pictures beside the boat. We'll do a measure if we can, if he cooperates, and we got to maintain forward motion and get the water flowing through the fish's gills as quickly as possible.
And that's what we did. We got him up, grabbed a few shots, made sure the fish was healthy, and then started swimming him for a clean release. And it wasn't until that fish was healthy and swimming away that I was like, holy cow, we just caught another grander. Just an experience of a lifetime that, you just will never forget. Casey was next in the lineup, and I love this one. Casey being a brother of mine, I wanted to see him hurt as much as possible. And I knew that he was gonna be in for something special.
So once you get in strapped into that harness, it's just you and the fish.
So they're feeding the line out, line takes off. I got suited up in the harness. They put the rod in the harness and I went to clip it in and couldn't get the clips to the reel. That's how much power and force was put on that reel. I had one grown man holding the rod and 2 guys behind me pushing me forward, and we couldn't get it clipped in.
Prince Edward Island is known for GBFTs, giant bluefin tuna. The cold waters of the Gulf of St. Lawrence, basically only the bigger fish come up here. A small fish here is a 500-pounder. And if there's anywhere in the world that you want to challenge yourself on a true giant bluefin tuna, it's Prince Edward Island.
I got it. He's heading right there. He's heading right for that buoy.
And I felt the strength of the fish, and understatement for power is the only way to describe it. When that fish started digging, my fish went to the bottom. Most of the time, the colder water in the bottom is where they want to go because tuna are warm-blooded. So I fought this fish for an hour and a half, pretty much straight up and down. I felt like my femurs were going to snap at certain points. Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. Casey locked onto this fish, and there it went, and you could see it beat him up.
I don't remember the last time I used my feet for stability like this. Touch the camera. I'm hooked to a car. I think they're going to Nova Scotia for a beer. I think it is. It's got four-wheel drive, whatever it is. You feel at times that it has so much power and there's no way it can exert more force on you, and then all of a sudden it takes more line and digs more and the rod bends more, and you think the reel's gonna break. I'm gonna break. Something is not gonna work out in my favor here, and there's no way I can land this fish.
Your choice of fishing apparel can make or break your day out on the water. Added mesh vents for superior breathability. Moisture transport cooling technology to keep you dry and comfortable. And antimicrobial to keep you from smelling like your catch. With added SPF to keep you protected. We've added stain release to keep the blood or any other stains at bay. Our most technologically advanced fishing shirt for all the necessary dirty work.
This is performance, from the first fish to the last.
Okay, this is the hard maneuver right here. Dude, this is unbelievable. Oh my God. If you had brittle bones, it would break inside. Once this fish, I don't want to ever say it broke, because it never broke. It fought all the way to the surface.
Casey's fish, he hooked up, it went straight down. And he battled that thing straight down. I kind of got lucky. Mine stayed up high for a long time.
Oh my God. Wow. I was dead. I was broken, I can tell you that much.
He fought that fish great, and an hour later, this fish came up, and we looked at this fish and said, this is a perfect fish. This is a fish we're gonna harvest. And that excitement was, that's incredible to have that opportunity as well.
Nothing describes the feeling and the sight of that fish the first time. We finally got it up. We got the fish on the leader. Craig got it up. There's a whole process to killing this fish. The fish ended up being about 700 pounds, maybe a little bit under. To get control of a fish like that, it's a process. To kill one is pretty special, but at the same time, you want to sit back and you want to honor the fish. But for me, the greatest part about it is it gives me an opportunity to be up close and personal with this subject matter that's going to end up being a painting. My legs are burning, my calves are burning, my feet are burning, my hands. If it wouldn't have been for my whole team here, we'd have never landed that thing. That is a beast. It's like an engine with torque and speed, and I just got my butt kicked by it. And I can't even tell you how excited I am. Biggest fish I've ever landed in my life. When the fish is lifted out of the water, it's put on a forklift, and I had probably 15 minutes where I could comb that fish over from everything from the way its jaw sits, the teeth, the gills, the pectoral fins, the way the eye moves, the scales, the patterns on it, the tail. I mean, there's so many amazing things about a fish that literally it's just one big giant muscle. And it's an impressive species. And to be able to study that fish, I know that it gives me a certainty that my artwork will be exact, which is important to me because I want to recreate for my viewers that might never get the chance to catch 1,000-pound tuna or 700-pound tuna in Prince Edward Island out of a school of whales. I want to recreate that so they can almost feel like they're there, and the best way to do it is to actually see it and understand what you're creating. And fortunately, with what happened and us killing this fish, I got that opportunity.
So really the whole point of going up to PEI this year was for product development. And that's something very special about what we do at Hook. Our graphic tees designed by Casey Scott, they're not just done on a computer or just pulled out of nowhere. Everything that Casey paints and that Casey puts on our shirts are from actual experiences that he's had in his life. And he takes reference photos of these fish and of these experiences and then paints it and then ultimately turns it into a graphic that we sell to the consumer.
I feel like the piece that was created is probably going to turn into a painting. I came back, recreated it, got an idea of where I'm going, and now I'm going to create this painting from that. And it's pretty amazing, all from just being out there and experiencing it. And that's the cool thing about the artwork, and then transfers to the t-shirts. It all comes from experience.
And that's what we were doing up there, and seeing Casey at work. You know, when these fish came up, he was taking reference shots and he was taking measurements. Everything he was doing was to make sure he paints and produces the most lifelike shirt and graphic that there is. And it's because these are events and these are actual fish. That's why our new bluefin tuna shirt that's coming out is gonna be the actual bluefin that we caught. Our striper shirt is actual stripers that we caught. Same with our marlin, same with our redfish. It's just such a unique element to what the Hook brand is.
When you see that shirt, know that that bluefin is a real life bluefin. That is a true real life situation, a real life image that is pulled from his memory bank that he saw firsthand.
And it's special because it means so much to us, and we want it to mean so much to them.